Performance-based funding. In 2012, it was meant to be the tool for determining how much money each of the 15 community colleges in Massachusetts would receive from the state each year. But it wasn't long before it was dropped. But is it time to revisit that idea? And how was the formula supposed to work to begin with? John Cook, the president of Springfield Technical Community College, and Christina Royal, the president of Holyoke Community College, joined me in the studio to answer that and more.
I think, and again, not to oversimplify, but it was a conversation about retention and graduation at its heart. But I'd like to remind people, community colleges, our first obligation and our mission is access. And so with that in mind, our accountability is about opportunity. Are we the most affordable? Are we reflective of our communities? And as I like to say, how big a class are students in when they're taking something like statistics? I think those are some wonderful aspects of accountability that are hard to put in a funding formula sometimes.
Yeah. And for you, President Royal, do you agree with President Cook's interpretation of the funding formula, or do you see it slightly differently? The way it was supposed to be in 2012, way back in 2012 when it was enacted.
Yeah, I do think that part of that was to focus on accountability, they mostly focus on graduation and completion rates as a way of looking to hold us accountable to the public as community colleges.
And meaning that some funding was linked to X amount of students graduating, X amount going on to four-year colleges, et cetera, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Could be a base, and then the rest would be dependent upon the numbers.
Mm-hmm. And so the Boston Foundation and the Massachusetts Taxpayers Foundation at the end of November did this deep dive report, about 50 pages, looking at the funding formula, what it was supposed to do, what it actually did. And so what has it actually done? Here we are just, a few years later.
I think, it's a tough question to answer because it's had sort of fits and starts, and the context is very, very different. 2012, we were still on the other side of the recession. Enrollments were up at community colleges. There was more tuition fee revenue to work with. Things are very, very different now. Unemployment is very low. Our enrollments are down. We tend to look to an individual like Lane Glenn, who's president of Northern Essex Community College, who has wrote a pretty comprehensive perspective on this, noting when you're trying to incentivize things this way, as he discussed, at best, the community colleges are perhaps 50% supported by the Commonwealth at this point, and that's the high water mark. Others are less than that. You're pulling scarce dollars already and potentially trying to reposition those. And I think there's sort of a critique of that premise that's on the table right now. And
so you mentioned Lane Glenn, and he's the president of Northern Essex Community College, as you pointed out, but he wrote an opinion piece that was published in Commonwealth magazine. And I'm glad that you mentioned it because I wanted to have us dig into it a bit. So he points out that in his opinion, there are two critical flaws, as he calls them, of this performance-based funding formula for colleges. And he contends that there isn't enough money to begin with. And you're both nodding, so I assume that means you agree with him.
Yeah, very much so. I think that the attention is intended to look at where we place the accountability for public higher education and in the community colleges. But I think really the core issue and the issue that we're contending with in public higher education in Massachusetts is that there simply aren't enough dollars that are being allocated to support public higher education to garner the types of outcomes that we want to achieve. And when you look at some of the factors, particularly of us serving communities like gateway cities and highly underrepresented communities with significant amount of poverty, that there's a lot of other complicated factors. As John pointed out, we are open access institutions. So our job is to draw in the members within our community to pursue education and credentialing and support of jobs. And they really have a lot of other complex issues that they're dealing with that we have to address when they come to us. Those issues affect the overall cost it takes to educate a student.
And not to mention, as President Glenn points out in his piece, that nearly half of all undergraduates in public higher education are coming through your institutions, the 15 community colleges across the state of Massachusetts, but the funding is about 25% from this, directed at these community colleges when you look at the state dollars overall?
It's a conversation about equity, and that's one of those points that bears repeating from time to time. But I would say, to be fair and comprehensive, we do want to partner with our four-year counterparts, and things like mass transfer and the Commonwealth Commitment are definitely a move in that direction to make sure we are better integrated. Again, the conversation about accountability, in our case, when MGM opens up a brand new industry here in the city of Springfield, in this region, you have two community colleges partnering together to be responsive for workforce needs, and that's what our dealer school, our gaming school, helped. There's no way you can place that into a funding or performance context. We were responsive. It's part of our mission. And again, this is part of that conversation. Again, when you expand it further to communities of color, you say, you're right, 50% of public higher education is carried by community colleges. We also carry the vast majority of communities of color. We are their choice because that is what is local and accessible to them. Again, hard to put a fine point on what the value is of that. And accountability doesn't always get us into all those nooks and crannies.
One of the recommendations, going back to the taxpayer and the Boston Foundation's report, was that perhaps writing the funding formula into state law might help this situation. Because as we said, in 2012, it was reconfigured, but there were no sort of consequences for not using the formula, which basically was used for about a year. You could argue maybe used for 3 years in some fashion, but not the full, I think, letter intent of what was done there. Do you think writing the formula into law would help this in any way?
It certainly provides some stability regarding other changes that we experience in any state politically and changes in administration. However, I think the real focus also should be on looking at what kind of measures are really appropriate to hold community colleges accountable. And in that, I would just speak to the Voluntary Framework for Accountability, the VFA, which are measures that were designed by community college leaders that are designed for community colleges. A lot of the measures that we use and are in the funding formula were designed for four-year institutions. And I think this is where it speaks to some of the differences in our missions as we work collaboratively to educate the Commonwealth.